Now, we've been covering the story of the Riverside County Animal Campus, and some residents burst into tears at the La Quinta City Council meeting while talking about what was going on out there. Mary Strong has reported on what's been happening, and it is heartbreaking. She's been trying to get answers from the people in charge, and after repeated requests, the director finally sat down with her. We're going to show you a very small part of how that went.
Do you follow the policies of the state in terms of the Hayden Act?
So the state of California has looked at what we call unfunded mandates and determined whether or not it is something that in fact is a law because it has funding behind it. And the Hayden Act never received that, so it's considered an unfunded mandate.
That it is a clear mandate, a clear policy to do everything you can to save animals, not destroy them.
Well, you finally sat down with her.
I finally did, yes.
How'd it go?
Well, they gave me 1 hour.
Okay.
So that was challenging. I didn't get to quite ask everything I wanted to ask.
Okay.
And she did what any politician typically does, or county official. She talks about all the things that are going well, and she didn't really want to address anything that was of concern. And that was concerning in itself, because clearly the public is asking for a more socially conscious form of animal sheltering. They made it very clear at the Animal Commission meeting 2 weeks ago. She heard it. She was sitting there. She heard their comments. She also saw my story. And she didn't really want to acknowledge the concerns, which was very interesting to me. I thought she would say, I heard what the public is saying. I acknowledge it. I take responsibility that it is occurring under my umbrella, and here's what I'm going to do about it. But instead, she basically threw her hands up and said, well, we're a really large organization and things happen. So that was incredibly concerning. I also got to talk to her about the Hayden Act and the policies of the state.
Right.
And according to the policies of the state and the Hayden Act, they need to be medically treating sick or injured animals in their care that are coming in.
Correct.
And they need to make reasonable efforts to be adopting out these animals instead of taking the easy route and euthanizing them.
Right.
And she basically said that they don't think the Hayden Act is valid. They consider it an unfunded mandate, and they're not following the policies of the state, which explains a lot. In fact, the attorney, Dan Bolton, for the Walter Clark Group, said that the Hayden Act is a statutory law in California and cited multiple cases in the state of California recently where the Hayden Act was upheld in court. So that was very concerning to see that they don't think that they have to follow the policies of the state when it comes to sheltering animals versus treating the shelters as a pound. And then we got into the budget. I got the budget right before we went into the interview.
Right.
And they've got a $39 million budget. That's a pretty significant budget for 3.5 shelters. They have 4 shelters, but Blythe really doesn't have a large intake. So when I asked her about the budget, she said they have plenty of money to have a no-kill county. What they don't have is staffing. But I think my question is there $39 million worth of reasonable effort going on here to ensure that we have what the public wants, which is a no-kill county? And that is the question that I still have.
If you have $39 million, but then you have no staffing, it seems to me you have money for staffing.
Exactly. So a little over 50% of that is going to staffing, $19 million. So again, I'm getting into the budget, but it's concerning. I'm not sure if I see $39 million worth of effort happening, and I'm not sure if the public sees that, more importantly. So we also, I did speak with a gentleman who was asked by the county to take a look at the Animal Services records, and he's finding some major discrepancies in their records. And they are a data-driven agency. So how can you solve a problem when you don't have the proper data? So that's one of the big questions that I was left with.
So basically you sat down, you talked to her for an hour, for 90% of it. She told you what was right. By the time you got to ask what was wrong, the interview was over because she had basically filibustered for 50 minutes of the hour.
Yes.
When it was all said and done, you talked about some things. And it seems to me walked away with her response was, hey, nothing to see here. Nothing to see
and
here.
That was the most concerning thing. You know, when you look at a high-level manager that's making over $250,000 a year, you hope that there's some sort of accountability, responsibility, and a line item action list of here's what I'm going to be doing about it. But she essentially said, I'm not a micromanager. I don't really manage on top of my managers and make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing, which was concerning. There needs to be some sort of management to ensure that these things aren't happening. So, again, concerning to me.
Okay.
And the full story is going to be airing tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
That's what I was going to say. Tomorrow, the entire story on what you found, which we will now call the Wild Wild West. It's a town without a sheriff.
Yes.
And that'll be on tomorrow at 6.
You got it. Yep.
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah, good to see you.